Hello, I want to thank you for clicking on my channel. I'm PI187. So far, I've done the first three Meet the German road trips. Now I'm about to do part 4, Western Germany. And yeah, I found them all to be pretty decent so far. Beautiful land, beautiful people, beautiful history, and now we're gonna do the western side. So let's get into this. I gotta get my headset on and turn it on too. That'd probably help. All right, you ready? Let's do this.
We've been north, south and east on our Meet the Germans road trip, so today it's time to find out what the West has to offer. The final 4 states that we'll be visiting are North Rhine-Westphalia, Rheinland-Pfalz, Hessen and Saarland. Let's start with a little 2,000-year throwback. The Rhine River in Germany once marked a frontier of the Roman Empire. Not that the Romans didn't want to go any further, but the so-called barbarian Germanic tribes mostly held them off. Roman influence west of the Rhine can still be spotted today in aqueducts, amphitheatres and bathhouses. Perhaps the most famous Roman remains are here in Trier, which is thought to be Germany's oldest city. The Porta Nigra, Black Gate, was built in the 2nd century under the reign of Marcus Aurelius. The Romans gave my hometown of Cologne the very catchy name Colonia Claudia Ara Agrippinensium. These days, the city is better known for its pretty extraordinary Gothic cathedral.
Wow.
And...
Sorry, going back a second. Looks
These
really
days,
nice.
the city is better known for its pretty extraordinary...
That is a huge building. What is that? Cathedral. Gothic cathedral. Yeah. That's massive. And it
Gothic.
looks... The architect work is amazing. They didn't mess around with that, did they?
Cathedral. And Carnival. The so-called 5th season kicks off on 11.11, the 11th of the 11th at exactly 11:11 a.m.
That's a lot of 11s. What's with all these costumes? I'm sure she's probably going to tell me. I'm going to go back one more. Pretty sure I saw...
The so-called 5th season
It's like Halloween almost.
kicks off on 11.11, the 11th of the 11th at exactly 11:11 a.m. It rises to a crescendo, usually in February, with a 6-day extravaganza of street parades, costumes, dance performances, music, and plenty of drink.
So there doesn't look like there's really a theme to these costumes. It's just dress up. Is that what it's all basically about? Like kind of like a giant Halloween party?
Drinking. Traditionally,
Wow.
this was all about letting loose before 6 weeks of fasting for Lent. These days, it's all about
Lebensfreude. Spaß haben.
Feiern.
Ja, Party. Also ist ein Gefühl. Wir kommen aus Hessen, bei uns heißt Fasching. Ja.
Schönste Zeit im Jahr.
Karneval bedeutet einfach Leben.
Ausbrechen.
Den Alltag hinter sich lassen, in eine andere...
Gotta go back. It's really hard to look at their costumes and then read what I'm missing all the words here, so...
Karneval bedeutet einfach Leben.
Ausbrechen.
Den Alltag hinter sich lassen, in ein anderes Kostüm zu schlüpfen und einfach mal die Sorge vergessen und die Sau rauslassen.
the people of the Rhineland are often labelled the most open, friendly and party-ready people in Germany. So no wonder they throw themselves into their Fastelovn festivities.
Yeah, that looks like fun to me.
North Rhine-Westphalia is Germany's most populous state and accounts for 1/5 of Germany's economic output. These days, the main industries are machinery, electronics, cars, plastics and chemicals. But the state was heavily shaped by the Industrial Revolution, coal mining and steel production. The Ruhr area, also known as the Ruhrpott or simply the Pot, was one of the most important industrial regions in Europe. The identity of the Bergmann or miner became a huge part of the region's identity. As the industry continued to grow, so-called guest workers were also brought in from other countries to keep up with demand. But by the late 50s, cheaper fuel had hit the market. As coal plants were shut down, the government tried to create alternative employment opportunities, for example in new car factories. Billions of euros have since been poured into regeneration projects in the region, with a focus on education, culture and nature. Many industrial sites have been repurposed
Well, and everybody knows the German cars are top line.
for museums and communal spaces, like this park here in Duisburg. So, has regeneration been a success?
Ich denke schon, wenn man sich anguckt, wie es damals hier aussah,
dass alles voll mit Industrie war. Was jetzt ja ziemlich grün ist.
Ist noch nicht abgeschlossen, meiner Meinung nach, weil viele Dinge noch im Prozess sind.
Das kulturelle Angebot, ich kann nicht alles wahrnehmen, aber wenn ich sehe, es ist auch im öffentlichen Raum spürbar, es ist was zu sehen, das gefällt mir.
Was macht heutzutage die Ruhrpott-Identität aus?
Die Vielfalt, was für Nationalitäten wir haben.
Es gibt viele Kunst und die Leute sind sehr freundlich.
Sie sind einfach bodenständig geblieben und identifizieren sich total mit den Fußballvereinen, ich sag mal, mit dem, was hier im Grünen passiert.
Ich würde sagen, der Zusammenhalt, das merkt man im Ruhrgebiet auch extrem.
German is usually pretty literal, so I really enjoy the rather cryptic names given to many dishes in this part of the country. Himmel und Erd, heaven and earth, is blood sausage, mashed potato, and apple sauce.
Oh, I've heard about the blood sauce before when I was doing reacting to stuff over in the UK. I don't know if I'd be a big fan of the blood sausage. Just the name doesn't do it for me. Applesauce, yeah, and what was that, mashed potatoes?
Ed, heaven and earth, is blood sausage, mashed potato.
Yeah, I don't mind mashed potatoes. My wife loves mashed potatoes. Probably her favorite thing to eat out of everything. I prefer baked potatoes myself. I'm not a big French fry eater. I'm not a big potato eater to begin with. So if I do have potatoes, I love the baked potatoes.
Potato and apple sauce. Halve Hahn, half a chicken, is a rye bread roll with a slab of cheese on top. And what about
That sounds good.
Blind chicken? That's a
Blind chicken? That's a vegetable and bacon stew? Why is it called blind chicken?
vegetable and bacon stew. Duh. Here's
Duh. So is there even any chicken in it? Is it just bacon? Why is it called blind? I don't get it. It's going over my head. Haresdinger, Dringer is Falls dialect for heart pusher. Oh, that sounds healthy.
Strigger is Pfalz dialect for heart pusher, which could refer to the cardiological effect of these meat and potato dumplings, or the fact that locals are particularly fond of this dish. But sometimes the Hessians call a spade a spade. This is the very accurately named grüne Soße, green sauce. To be more exact, it's
Yeah,
a
it
sour
looks like
cream
green
and
sauce.
mixed herb sauce, often served with boiled potatoes and eggs. As a
So what does the green sauce taste like? Eggs and potatoes, huh? And green sauce. That might be worth trying.
it's a sour cream and mixed herb sauce, often served with boiled potatoes
Oh,
and eggs.
so sour cream and
As
mixed
a
herb
cider
sauce.
lover, I've also been dying to try another Hessian speciality, Ebbelwoi, literally apple wine. It's an alcoholic drink made from sour apples, and it's usually served in a jug like this one called a Bembel. Whoa, not as sweet as the cider I know. I think I could get used to it.
Viele Leute, die machen sich einen Schuss Mineralwasser rein, ist ja nicht ganz so stark. Und dann gibt es wieder andere, die machen sich Limonade rein. Das ist aber unter Apfelweintrinkern eigentlich verpönt.
Something I really like about Germany is that not everything is centred around the capital city. Different industries have hubs in different places. Even political institutions are spread between Berlin and the former West German capital Bonn. And Germany's financial centre is Frankfurt. Frankfurt am Main, to give it its full name, is home to many domestic and foreign banking institutions, as well as the European Central Bank and Germany's largest stock exchange. It has the country's busiest airport and 18 of Germany's 19 skyscrapers, earning it the nickname Manhattan. Incidentally, here the buildings don't
Wow,
scrape the
yeah.
sky, they scratch the clouds.
Those are some big buildings, aren't they?
Manhattan. Incidentally, here the buildings don't scrape the sky, they scratch the clouds, Wolkenkratzer. But beneath the surface of suits and skyscrapers, Frankfurt has an underground claim to fame as one of the birthplaces of techno music.
Hier gab es sehr früh eine sehr komplette, komplexe Szene. Hier gab es die Clubs, aber auch die Produzenten, die Musiker, die Labels, Plattenläden und so weiter. Anfang der 80er Jahre gab es vielleicht 5, 6 Städte weltweit, die diesen Status zu der Zeit hatten.
Kannst du irgendwie schätzen, warum das hier stattgefunden hat?
Einer der Gründe ist mit Sicherheit das Dorian Gray. Also in dem Club lief schon immer das Innovativste vom.
Yeah, techno is really big over here in, say, the 90s. Dance / techno, I guess you'd call it. I listened to a lot of it back in my younger days, for a short while. Probably when I was probably around maybe 18, 19 years old when I listened to it. And then I kind of started listening to rap music after that. So, but techno was pretty big, and it was kind of like a mix of techno and dance. I don't know if it's the same over there, but
Innovativen. Der war am Frankfurter Flughafen. Allein der Ort, auch die
that's
Fahrt
the
dorthin,
airport?
er fährt also über die Autobahn. Es ist Nacht und der Flughafen ist nachts beleuchtet gewesen. Man hat ihn schon von weitem so pulsierend gesehen. Man ist dazugefahren und dann runter unter den Flughafen gefahren. Das war eigentlich schon, da ging es schon los.
Yeah, techno has always had lots of bass. I imagine you would feel the pounding of it. That's what I really liked about the techno. Is like it was very bassy music.
Dass man gespürt hat, hier passiert heute Nacht was. Über Frankfurt wird nicht mehr so viel gesprochen. Das hat damit zu tun, dass diese Räume, diese Clubs einfach fehlen. Hier gibt es nicht viel Raum. Deswegen wird in Frankfurt auch in die Höhe gebaut. Und wenn irgendwo ein Raum frei wird, die Mieten sind extrem hoch. Deswegen ist Berlin auch heute wahrscheinlich World Capital of Techno, weil durch den Mauerfall haben sich einfach Räume ergeben. Das heißt, die Leute konnten, ob es alte Lagerhallen waren, alte E-Werke, Gaswerke. Mit diesen Räumen kann man auch erst was Neues entwickeln. Und das haben wir hier leider in der Stadt nicht so.
If you need an escape from the city, Hessen also has you covered, quite literally. This state and neighbouring Rheinland-Pfalz are both 42% covered in trees. That makes them Germany's most foresty states and the perfect spot for a fairy tale. Einem reichen Manne, dem wurde seine Frau krank, und als sie fühlte, dass ihr Ende herankam, rief sie ihr Jakob and Wilhelm Grimm, better known as the Brothers Grimm, were born in Hanau in the late 18th century and later moved here to Kassel. They gathered folk stories for their fairy tale collection. Hansel and Gretel, Snow White, Little Red Riding Hood, Cinderella. But we're talking the original gory versions, before Disney toned things down. The brothers also played an important part in the development of the German language. Jakob published a book on German grammar, and the brothers later began working on a very ambitious German dictionary. Sadly, they never made it past the letter F. Wilhelm died in 1859 and Jakob 4 years later. The last entry he completed was for Frohteufel, demon. But other linguists picked up where they left off, and the tome was eventually completed.
Yeah, they're definitely known worldwide, the Brothers Grimm. I've seen a few different documentaries and movies on them and whatnot. I didn't know they were German, though. I didn't know where they really came from, to be honest, but their stories are really good. The stuff that they wrote. I heard that there's they were much darker than the Disney versions of it and whatnot.
About 100 years later. Our next stop is Saarland, the smallest German state, excluding the 3 city-states.
Oh, that's cool.
In fact, it's often used as a unit of measurement in the German media. For example, a forest fire affected an area the size of Saarland. For those of you unfamiliar with this unit, it's about the same size as neighbouring Luxembourg. Not all that long ago, this German state used to be essentially independent, with its own constitution, its own flag, and even a very short-lived currency, the Saarmark. Saarland sent its own team to the 1952 Olympic Games and the 1954 Football World Cup qualifiers, where, incidentally, it was knocked out by West Germany, who went on to win the tournament.
Oh, congratulations.
This historical curiosity had a lot to do with the region's attractive coal reserves and the 2 world wars. This part of Germany fell under the administration of the League of Nations after World War I. Then it was returned to Germany. Then it was in the French-occupied zone after World War II, when France gave it protectorate status, effectively releasing it from Allied control. But the region's strong connection to Germany remained, and in a 1955 referendum, the people voted to be released from their special arrangement with France. In 1957, they officially joined West Germany. So is this history still visible today?
Auf jeden Fall. Das Saarland ist praktisch das französischste aller deutschen Bundesländer, kann man sagen.
Man geht hier kein Baguette holen, man holt sich Flöt, ein schmaleres Baguette. Das ist so typisch französisch. Ich finde, man sieht es auch noch so ein bisschen manchmal an den Bauten, dass da so französisch mit reinspielt.
Der Regenschirm wird im Bereich Saarlouis immer nur ich hol mein Parapluie. Und das ist im Grunde le Parapluie, der Regenschirm. Wir haben hier eine Sprachgrenze, eine europäische Sprachgrenze zwischen Rheinfränkisch und Moselfränkisch. Und die wird Jive und Trive wird die auch so gesprochen.
Als Franzose habe ich, meine Muttersprache war Plattdeutsch. Und selbst in Frankreich sind wir manchmal als die Deutsche betrachtet. Also als so Deutsche, verstehen Sie, so Saarfranzose betrachtet. Ne?
Man hört das ja auch, dass hier viele Franzosen sind. Ich weiß, dass das halt ganz nah ist, aber ich fühle mich da jetzt überhaupt nicht irgendwie hingezogen oder so. Mich damit irgendwie verbunden.
Und was sollte man sonst noch über das Saarland wissen?
Prinzipiell, dass es das Bundesland gibt.
Hier gibt es sehr gutes Essen. Ich esse gern Leona, das ist so eine Wurst.
Saarland ist definitiv bekannt für Schwenker.
Hier wird nicht gegrillt, hier wird geschwenkt und man isst hier kein Steak, man isst einen Schwenker.
We've managed to get pretty far in this episode without mentioning beer. There's plenty of Pilsner in the west, and then Cologne's got its Kölsch, and nearby Düsseldorf has its Alt. German beer is known the world over, but a slightly better kept secret is German wine. Around 2/3 of all German wine comes from Rheinland-Pfalz, and the absolute
that's a big
frontrunner is the
winery.
Riesling variety. Dotted along the Mosel River between quaint villages and hillside castles, you'll find row after row of seriously steep vineyards.
Das Besondere am Moselwein ist natürlich unsere einzigartige Kulturlandschaft und was eben den Charakter des Weines auch auszeichnet, ist der Schiefer. Es ist ein sehr dunkler Stein und schwarz, wie wir alle wissen, kann ja auch sehr gut Wärme speichern, zieht Wärme an. Und wenn es nachts wieder kälter wird im Tal, dann gibt er das an die Umgebung ab, eben an unsere Trauben. Damals habe ich mich zur Wahl der Moselweinkönigin gestellt, weil ich meine Heimat so sehr liebe und da eben unterwegs sein wollte im Auftrag des Weines. Ich habe ehrlich gesagt gar nicht so weit gedacht, dass es dann noch weitergeht zur deutschen Weinkönigin. 2016, 2017 durfte ich im Endeffekt einmal um die ganze Welt reisen mit deutschen Wein im Gepäck.
Was macht eine gute Riesling aus?
Ein guter Riesling macht natürlich das gute Mos.
We have a bunch of wineries around here, actually. There's an island across the bay that has, I don't know how many wineries they have, but they do a tour where you can get a limo, and the limo driver will drive you, your friends, whatever, to all the different wineries and taste test them all and whatnot, and it's kind of a big deal over there. I'm not a wine drinker myself. If I had my choice, and I'm not a beer drinker really anymore. I did drink beer in my 20s, my early years, but now it's whiskey, mainly is what I drink. But yeah, I've never really. I'm sure maybe eventually I'll start drinking wine when I'm older, like some people do. Drink wine when they're older, but it's never really been my thing. But I'm not really big into drinking either. Like, I drank a lot in my younger days because, who doesn't? But yeah, kind of got bored with it and only drink not very often. Have a few drinks with the wife, and maybe if we're having a party or a get together or something. Other than that, I'm good.
Moselklima aus. Dann sollte er eine schöne Süße haben, also nicht zu süß, ein bisschen, und dann natürlich die knackige frische Säure, die den Mosel-Riesling auszeichnet.
So, what's the best way to sample the local produce? Well, you could go on a Weinwanderung or wine hike. Yep, that involves hiking between vineyards and wine taverns. Whew. The more relaxed variation
That's kind of like what I was talking about, except for they drive you in a limo between them all.
would be to do a Weinprobe or wine tasting, which traditionally goes from dry to sweet. What else do you like about this area of Germany? Leave a comment below. And that brings us to the end of the Meet the Germans road trip. I've loved gallivanting around the country to find what makes each region unique. Do check out the other road trip episodes and let me know what you think. Prost!
Oh, that's kind of neat. Let's see, someone told me how to do this. There we go. That. Let's go back in. I want to see the red one. Huh. Is that what they're all like over there? That is really cool. I really like that. Ours just has like a stick figure on it. Showing like well, it's a hand to stop, and then a person, just a stick figure walking, but that is a lot neater. I like that. But anyhow, yeah, it was a good video. I learned a little bit more. Didn't seem like there was as much in that one as there was in some of the other videos. I didn't, a lot of wineries, but didn't really show much for castles. Seen a few in there. Talked a little about the techno music, which that's pretty cool. Do you still listen to techno music there? I think they said that it's still a big thing there, but I'm not sure. Not even really sure how old this video is. But yeah, like I said, I used to listen to that back in my younger days. No, I don't really listen to a whole lot. And if I do, it's probably someone on YouTube, like one of the people I've reacted to back in the past are pretty much the only people I really listen to for music. Now, not to, well, that's not true. I guess at work, I have a headset I wear, I hook to my phone, and I listen to a lot of music from mainly the 90s. That was, I guess, my heyday for music was 90s stuff, so I'll listen to mostly music that came out in the 90s. But I don't listen to, like, new updated stuff, I guess. I'm at that age where I'm too old for that, or I'm just not into the new younger music, so but anyhow, yeah, that was pretty cool. I want to thank you for watching this video. If you want to like, comment, subscribe, that would be amazing. And you guys have yourselves a great day, and I'm going to check out my comments now that I've watched all 4 of these. I've had a few people mention different videos in my comments to check out, so I'm going to look into my comments and have to fish out some videos to find out what to react to next. But yeah, I'm really enjoying checking out Germany. It's a really nice place, and yeah, I definitely would go visit it someday. Someone mentioned in the comments, make sure you wear a Canadian flag so they don't think you're American. So if I do, I definitely will. But anyhow, have yourselves a great day, and bye for now.